extend the word of welcome again to you for coming to today's session. My name is Matthew George, and it's my pleasure to be sort of hosting today's session. I'm with Advantage Consulting. We're based in Atlanta, and we have been a partner with Georgia Essentials for Childhood for several years now on the implementation of the state's Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention Plan, which is called A Vision for Child and Family Wellbeing. Today's session is part of the fall round of community of practice sessions that we've organized around some of the highest priority strategies that came out of the state plan. We'll be sharing more information about the state plan, about Georgia Essentials for Childhood and all that here in a moment to catch up anyone who is less familiar with any of those. But for now, all you need to know is that you are welcome. We are glad to have you, and we look forward to learning alongside you here this afternoon. Today's agenda will start out with some introductions. We will provide an overview of the communities of practice, as well as some of the other entities and plans that I mentioned a moment ago. And then the bulk of today's session will be turned over to Prevent Child Abuse Georgia and Find Help Georgia. And we've got Kimberly Stewart-Lucas joining us here today to share more about that platform and how you can get involved with it. So as I mentioned, today's topic is about Find Help Georgia. It's a resource for community engagement as well as information and referral. And Kimberly is going to be walking us much more through various aspects of the platform here today. It's tied to a statewide prevention priority area coming out of that prevention plan I mentioned a few minutes ago. And for more information on the state plan, I'm going to put some links here in the chat for you that you can bookmark and come back to later or check out. And if you've got any questions after today's session, I'm going to be sharing several times the email address essentials@gsu.edu. Please feel free to reach out to that address with any questions or follow-up items about today's session. So as I mentioned earlier, Georgia Essentials for Childhood, I shared the link in the chat there about 30 seconds ago. It's a statewide initiative that is centered around safe, stable, and nurturing relationships and environments as being a key building block for successful children and youth, and thereby successful families and successful communities, not to mention a successful Georgia. We have about 50 organizations statewide that participate in the initiative through its leadership body, the steering committee, and the 5 working groups that you see on the screen there. If you're interested in learning more about Essentials or connecting with one of the working groups, perhaps, you can reach out again to that email address that I shared in the chat, essentials@gsu.edu. Prevent Child Abuse Georgia is a backbone organization for this statewide initiative. That means it provides some financial support, it provides some administrative and operational support, and some staffing support to the Georgia Essentials for Childhood initiative. And as such, they've been very kind to house the website and the primary contact email address for the initiative. So that's why you see it as being part of the Prevent Child Abuse Georgia website and domain, which itself is part of Georgia State University. And that's why the Essentials email address has @gsu.edu. So these communities of practice I've talked about, they are an ongoing opportunity for professionals and practitioners and community leaders and members to collaborate around shared topics of interest when we think about child and family well-being in Georgia. We promote this interaction through the Basecamp platform. I'll talk about that in a moment, an online platform for collaboration and communication. But we also host these twice annual sessions to bring people interested in some of these topics together to hear from experts, to receive training perhaps, or learn about resources, maybe some technical assistance, as well as to discuss things like successes, challenges, and barriers, available resources, lessons learned from implementation of various resources and models from communities all over the state. We understand that professionals in this movement around child and family well-being are themselves subject matter experts. And we want to elevate what you all are doing and learning all over the state and help you share that information, those resources, together with your colleagues all over Georgia. So we hold these sessions once every 6 months or so, roughly a spring round and a fall round, to talk about, again, those items that I mentioned there on the screen, and really encourage that peer sharing and learning. The ongoing way that we help facilitate that exchange is through, as I mentioned, Basecamp, the shared platform for coordination and communication. It's also an opportunity for state level resources to be advertised and promoted and to be connected with people and communities all over the state. And again, if you're interested in learning more about Basecamp, about joining a community of practice, or just seeing what it's all about, no strings attached, no commitments. Again, feel free to reach out to essentials@gsu.edu. So now we'd like to do our last, but certainly not least, introduction for the day, and just turn it right into our keynote presentation. And that's Kimberly from PCA Georgia, here to share more about Find Help GA. So Kimberly, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. All righty. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Kimberly Stewart Lucas. I am the Training and Resource Coordinator for Prevent Child Abuse Georgia. And I'm really happy to be with you all today to talk about Find Help Georgia platform. It's not a full training. We're going to kind of do an overview, kind of a modified overview with a little live demonstration. On behalf of Georgia's Department of Early Care and Learning, which is DECAL, and the Technical College System of Georgia, and again, PCA Georgia, I'm excited to bring this platform to you all that may be new to it. Some of you may have heard of Aunt Bertha before. They rebranded and became Find Help. And these three entities, we came together to be the community engagement team for Find Help Georgia. So I know that you all will agree that a centralized virtual community resource guide is an invaluable tool, knowing that the people that and the communities that we serve need help sometimes. It's my hope that after today's overview and live demonstration, that you'll be excited about this platform too, like I am and like we are, and that you'll take the next steps that we'll go over. Instead of doing the breakout, we'll just do some things together, talk about those next levels of engagement of how to use Find Help Georgia. And like with Matthew, we're a small group today. If you have any questions, I have my chat up. Make sure I have that on this screen. Or, you can raise your hand and come off of mute, and I can identify and answer any questions that you may have. So let's take a look at what we'll be sharing during today's time. We'll start with a brief overview of Find Help Georgia, the mission, and what with we and in partnerships and collaborations with helping professionals and organizations like yours are hoping to achieve. Next, I'll discuss some ways in which you can use this free resource to support your community and your stakeholders. Again, I'll take a moment to go through the live demonstration and just point out some of the pieces that are really important about this platform that can be helpful in the workflow and the work that you do. Also, we'll talk about what those next steps should be as far as getting on the platform, if that's something that your organization would be eligible for, how to share resources, how to keep up with the resources that you've shared with people. And again, I do want to repeat that all the things and features that I'll be discussing today are free for any individual or organization who visits the site. So let's discuss the mission. Find Help Georgia's mission is to connect all people in need and the programs that serve them with dignity and ease. And this is really important to us because we feel that everyone deserves ease of access to programs and resources and the dignity of a response to their requests made for assistance. So the problem that we're trying to solve is this: it's how hard it is to navigate the system. And this is a problem that many of you know all too well. We have individual people and families. They're searching for resources and thousands of dedicated programs, which many of you all help to run. But the process to access those resources can sometimes be a challenge to go through. So we're trying to solve the problem by streamlining the process. Find Help Georgia does this by enabling individuals who are seeking care, or those of you that are helping people to navigate the system, to search for relevant programs within their zip code, browse available programs, and connect directly to those programs through the platform. We also want to ensure that these connections receive a response, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the demonstration. So what exactly is Find Help Georgia? In essence, it's a free online directory that lists free or reduced cost services, direct services, that to people that are seeking help. And this can include things like medical care, housing and financial assistance, education, childcare, workforce development programs, and much more. Again, the resource is free for the individuals that are looking for help, as well as for organizations to list, claim, and manage their programs through the platform. A special note, there are more than 1,400 programs listed in every zip code across the United States and Puerto Rico that provide services to residents within that specific zip code. So with Find Help Georgia being powered by the Find Help Network, there's a no wrong door approach. And we like to think of the network as a house with many entry points. The Find Help Network is kind of like the central nervous system, the main brain for the entire data resource, or resource database, excuse me. So while findhelp.org, which is Find Help's main public domain, serves as the main portal into the house, customers like us, Find Help Georgia, we offer additional entryways into the same central house of resources. Each access point strengthens the social care network and limits the barriers of entry into the house, ultimately providing support to people that need the resources that will serve them. So Find Help Georgia, we're the paid customer that allows us to have a branded, public-facing version of the site and a free mobile app as a service to community-based organizations such as yours, you all throughout Georgia. So regardless of how the program is being, or the platform is being accessed, whether it be through Find Help Georgia or another customer-branded site, the end user, those families, people in the community, are able to search for programs, send referrals, and access many of the free tools that are available on the site that we'll look at today. More importantly, the more helping agencies and staff we have utilizing the platform, the richer the database will become over time for everyone. So I've discussed some ways in which Find Help Georgia is working to reduce barriers in access to social services, but let's take a look at some of the unique features that the platform benefits for the users. First is an open network that's available in all local communities and nationwide. So if you were working with a family, let's say that lives here in Georgia, let's say they're moving to another state, you would just have to be able to put in the zip code and still be connected to resources in that area. So people who are interested in finding help can do so anywhere, anytime. At Find Help, and as an extension, Find Help Georgia, privacy is at the heart of what we do. And in order to deliver on this, we want to ensure that users of the platform have the ability to choose when, where, and with whom their information is being shared. So with that in mind, it's important to note that the entire platform is HIPAA and FERPA compliant and HIPAA certified. And lastly, Find Help Georgia is very versatile and can be used in a variety of ways by individuals and organizations alike. This flexibility allows users to determine how they access services. So all the programs on the platform are available to those seeking help even without creating an account, and they're able to self-navigate the resources. And some people want to be anonymous in their navigation of resources. Nonprofit organizations and people that are working with the community have access to a powerful free suite of tools that we'll talk about today, which can greatly enhance your workflow. And also you'll be able to have access to detailed analytics and impact reports about your programs and referrals. And again, to make this platform as accessible as possible, we've included a free mobile app, which is available to those that are seeking help, as well as those in the field providing help. One of the greatest benefits of the platform that you also have access to is support and training. So once a month, I do a training. I think our next training is November 13th. So that's next month, I think, where you're able to learn how to actually add your programs. I'll go over a couple of those steps today, but then also how to customize your program cards to be able to share the information about the resources you provide to the community. There are also lots of tools, and I'll highlight a few of those today that you have access to. But also when you take the training, after I'll place, let's see, that link in the chat of the training dates, you also will become a certified navigator. And what that means is you've taken the training, you've made a decision to use this platform and invest in, making referrals and sending things. Let me see, here's my link. But also what it does, if you have program listings on the platform, it actually elevates your program card when people are searching for resources. So again, becoming a certified navigator is also really important to do. So now we'll go into kind of a live demonstration of some of the programs that are available. So when you go to findhelpga.org, this is what you see. I'm not sure if I can get that off of there. There we go. And there are a couple of features I want to go over of what's available to organizations here on this page, but we'll come back to this to do the search. First, you'll see here at the top, suggest a program and organizational tools. I'll come back to suggest a program, but remember that's kind of where you start the process to add your program if you provide a free or reduced cost direct service. And I'll go back over, I just want to highlight where the button is. On this page, this is where you actually start the process of searching for resources. We actually have extended, so for those of you that are familiar with the former 1-800-CHILDREN number, we've actually rebranded that as well. It's now the Find Help Georgia helpline. So it actually extends the ways in which you have access to the resources. Putting in your zip code is the main way, but because of the helpline, you also have the ability to chat online and also call the number. The number is still the same, but again, they use Find Help Georgia to be able to share resources and referrals to people that call. So it just extends the ways in which you have access to the resources. We have a little video here if you ever want to share with staff members about the platform, and then links to the mobile app. That's the other way in which you can get access. So we have a link to the mobile app here in our social media. The button here at the top of organizational tools, when you click on that, it takes you to the image that you saw earlier about what our actual mission is and what the process is of connecting people to resources. But we have a few more tabs here with instructions of what you all can do. The First Steps tab is to create an account. So again, people don't have to create an account to have access to the resources, but for those helping professionals and organizations, we do suggest that you have an account. You just have the easy steps here. How to add your organization, which we'll go over, and then also claiming your program. So our goal is not only for people to use Find Help Georgia and to suggest programs, but to claim their programs. And what it does is that gives access to the organization to be able to customize all the information that we'll look at on a program card, but then also have access to the teams to be able to share with other staff members and also those detailed analytics. So you can see how are people engaging with your program listing, where are people searching from to find your resource and other data that's available. Okay, here, so under the training and implementation tab, I do presentations. I can customize them to come in and talk about if you have different networking groups. Also our training's not necessarily 2 hours, it's about an hour and a half. That's where you learn about all the things about Find Help Georgia. Again, how to create a listing, how to customize that listing. I have a couple more dates for this month and next month, and I'll be adding 2024 dates. And then also this particular tab here, spread the word. This is where we give you all the information that you'll need to be able to share this resource with people in your community. So whether it be, we have flyers, we have things that you're able to download and print as well, whether it be postcards, flyers, half flyers in English and in Spanish. If there's ever a presentation that you want to do, we have a drop-in slide so you can share the resource with people. And if you have newsletters, we actually give you verbiage that you can copy and paste and maybe just customize a little bit depending on your audience. But we want to make it as seamless as possible to be able for you to share this resource with others. We have social media images and the content so you can share on social media. And now talk more about this bar right here, which is a widget that you can actually place on your existing site. People can put their zip code in and be connected to that main brain of resources I mentioned earlier. So this spread the word tab is really helpful for those that want to share this information with the communities that you serve. Thank you very much, Matthew, for putting that link in the chat. All right, so let's go back here. And we're going to go into a search. And I think it was already in there. I live in Riverdale, Georgia, so I always put in my zip code 30296 and then do search. And this will take you to that main brain of resources I discussed earlier. Above here, you'll see the navigation bar of different categories. And these are categories that the community engagement team, so that was DeKalb and Technical College System of Georgia. These are the categories of the people that we serve that they're looking for the most. So you see from food, housing and goods, health, all the way over to adult education and training, safety and legal, and so forth. When you hover over each of those icons, you'll see subcategories, okay? And then based off of the zip code that you first entered in, it'll connect you to those resources that are closest to you and also national resources that are available. I also want to point out a really, probably one of those popular features I think people really enjoy about the platform is the language option. So the entire platform is able to be translated in over 100 languages using Google Translate. And I think this is really important because when you're talking about sharing resources and making it as seamless as possible, you want to be able to share the resource in the language in which supports the person you're working with. So whether you're texting or emailing or printing, it can be in the language in which you select, and they will receive that information in the language that you select. So that's one of the favorite features here on the platform. Okay, again, I've entered in my zip code. I want to go over kind of the anatomy. I've mentioned several times program listings, program cards. I'm actually going to pull up one of our partners' cards here, and that's CANPP Collaborative. They're one of our councils, our local councils. And so whenever I say program card or program listing, I use that interchangeably. I'm talking about this white rectangle here, which gives you all the information about your resource that's available. In this instance, CANPP Collaborative provides, I think they have 3 cards here, but this first one here, that first line will be the actual resource they provide. And this is the basic Cobb County parent workshops. The next line, you'll see who provides that resource. In this case, it's CANPP Collaborative. The review date. So again, I mentioned before, not only do we want to see more resources on the platform, but we want these organizations to claim their platform. And so this check mark right here shows that the organization has claimed their listing and they're able to make updates as needed. Some programs have seasonal resources, things, maybe the funding has changed and they have different changes they have to make. So we like seeing that check mark, and we also like seeing this badge here. This shows that someone from CANPP Collaborative, I know who it is, Irene, has taken our training and they've become certified. So they're a certified navigator. Again, showing that they have completed training, they're certified, and they're using the platform often. So that review line right here, if a program card is not claimed, the Find Help Data team every 6 to 8 months will go through making sure that phone numbers, websites are still operational. But again, we like organizations to claim them so they can make updates as needed. You'll next see a brief description about what does this particular resource provide. The main services, you'll see the different tags about what this resource is about. The serving, who does this resource serve? Who is eligible for this resource? This particular one is for teens, adults. You can have up to 15 tags for the different things that you have tagged here. On the right side of the program card, you'll see what are the next steps? What does someone need to do to have access to this resource? In this case, and you can have different combinations, whether it be to email a certain email address to get more info. It could be to call a number. It could be to visit a website. But you'll see what are those things that someone needs to do in order to get access to the resource. You'll put in, you'll see the distance, the mileage from the email that you sent, or sorry, from the zip code. Also an address, if it's something that is, not a confidential address. If they have an office, the hours of operation will be there. And then for more information, you'll see eligibility, if there are any eligibility requirements for the resource. If it's available, sometimes there may be a waiting list. Again, it could be a seasonal resource. If there's any more additional details, you'll see that description there. The languages in which this resource serves. So for this case, it's English. A cost. This particular resource is free, but you may see reduced cost. You could see a sliding scale or even a full cost. What that means is that that organization has at least one free or reduced cost direct service. Again, what are those next steps to get more information? Any website or social media will be linked here. The coverage area. Some resources may cover a city, some may cover a county, and some may cover multiple counties. That would be listed there. When did this organization become Find Help certified? They did earlier this year. And then again, if there are any additional resource or locations, that would be listed here as well. And then this teal button here, that's the contact button. That changes also. Some people may have it to visit their website because there's not necessarily a reason to reinvent the wheel. If they maybe have a form on their website, it will link you there. Or you may see the word contact or refer, and that's where you can actually make referrals within the platform. Okay. I also want to show you that this information is available without even creating an account. So when we're talking about people having access to resources, some people don't want to create an account and have to, come up with a password and account name. They just want to get right to the information of what they need. And that's one thing we love about the platform is you're able to do that without creating an account. But there are some features that you have access to when you create an account. So let me show you that. It's easy to sign up. You click sign up here. Okay. And you'll see those things, those steps that you'll need to take. If it will come up. Very easy to do. I have an account, of course, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. Make sure no questions. As you see, it gives me more options available up here at the top. One option I want to show you is the People I'm Helping dashboard. So for those, let's say here, if I was to make a referral using this same listing right here, for more information, I'll do the see next steps. Let's say I want to share this particular referral with someone that I'm assisting. We'll call her Sally Seeker. That's the name I use in my demonstrations. We'll log a referral. And that'll give us a form, okay? This is just going to connect the person that's seeking the information to the listing, not necessarily to the organization. So you would fill in some information here. It may give you the eligibility for this resource. I'm going to be referring someone else. If it's my first time working with the person, I would just enter in their information. But if I've worked with this person before, I would just enter in their name and it would populate their information below. I want to share this resource with Sally via email. Maybe we talked on the phone and we could put some additional comments here per our conversation today. And again, just a reminder, this form just connects Sally with this particular resource listing online, and then we'd submit. Okay. Thank you that's been recorded, but let me show you what Sally receives in her email. It's another feature I like. Update this box. So also, if I was working with someone whose preferred language is other than English, in that moment, I could change the language so they would receive the email in the language that you select, but I kept it as English. Here you see that you're giving her access to the program on the platform, but also this is more important here. There are these options that Sally's able to share with you if the resource was helpful, maybe they referred her to another program. There's an organization just recently that they kind of use this in their agency. It's kind of like maybe accountability. I'm not sure if that would pertain to your agency. This is someone with Youth Spark and they work with young people. And so they like to interact knowing that resources that they're sharing are being helpful or being seen by parents or by a guardian. And so they would make an update here to say, hey, this resource was helpful to me, or maybe I need some other ideas. So let's say we're going to click, they couldn't help any ideas. Sure. So I talked about that People I'm Helping dashboard that you have access to when you create an account. You click on that. Again, for those of you that work with families regularly, having access to maybe the resources that you're sharing with them is really helpful to kind of keep, again, a loop, closing the loop, making sure that what you're sharing is being received or not. So I went to Sally Seeker's profile. Here we're able to create goals, whether they be educational goals, they can be financial goals, health goals, again, depending on how closely you work with different families. The goal description, the information on the person you're working with. But this navigation history here, you'll see all of the information and resources that I've shared with a particular person, but also because of that response that she gave in her email, I'm also able to see that she couldn't get help and maybe it's time to go back to the drawing board to get additional resources for her. You're also able to update the status of if a resource was successful, maybe she did get the help, and that would change the status there. So these are some of those tools that you're able to use. That's available for free. If there were any forms available or necessary to complete based on eligibility, that information would be there. But people really like to use this to kind of keep up with resources they're sharing with people, and not only that, if those resources were helpful or not. Okay. Also, because I have created an account, I want to show you something else that you have now access to. Go to a food pantry. Sharing certain resources. There may be certain resources that you like to refer to people often. You're able to save and create a favorite folder. So if I want to, let's say, have a list of food pantries that I like to use and refer to people, I would save this and create a folder. I already have a folder for food pantries. And then you can actually share the resources based on those particular folders. So it's really helpful. I know I've got resources based on counties. It could be on certain age groups, but you're also able to save those favorite folders via email or share the link or even internally. Suggesting a program, I spoke about that earlier. So there's several ways. Again, on the findhelpga.org page, there was that green button at the top that says suggest a program. But at the bottom of every page on this platform, on the right side, you'll also see suggest a program. So this is what you would click to find out, or to see if there are resources that maybe even your organization's already on the platform. When we switched over databases from the 1-800-Children to this, we had forwarded over thousands of resources. And so your resource could possibly be on there. But this, if it's not, this is where you would start the process to even suggest not only where you work, I have to point this out, but even other programs that other organizations that you may not work with. If they're not on the platform, you also can suggest that program to be added to the platform. You put in the name. I'll just go ahead and put a name that I know that's not on here. Any information that you have here, you just have the name and then the state, you would do a check. It says that program's not, they don't have that program yet, and you just put additional information in the fields here. And then you would click if you work with the program or not. If you don't, the Find Help Data team, what they do is they receive the form, the suggestion, they go through the verification process to make sure the information you shared is correct. And then it's, can be added to the platform. The next step would be to either contact that person that you know that works for the organization, or you can send them my way, and I can connect them with how to claim the program and then have access to be able to update their program card. Okay, I'm looking at our time now. I'll make sure that we have time. Are there any questions so far about some of the things? And these are just like the first part of the training. You got a little modified version of it. In my other training, I do go over how to actually update those listings, share with your teammates, and also having access to different analytics. I can show you a few things now in the site analytics. Now, again, we're a paid customer. We have a lot more dashboards, but you would have the first 5 here of, again, seeing what your impact is if you have a program card here, and how people are interacting with your program card. What counties are they coming from? You also are able to see, and this is really good for those that write grants and need certain types of data. What are some of the search trends in your area? What are the needs? What are people looking for? I know the top ones recently have been like help to pay for housing, there we go, food pantry. So you're able to see what some of those commonly searched terms are, to be able to see these are the number of searches of people that are looking for food pantries, for help to pay for housing, help to pay for utilities, financial assistance. So it gives you a lot of data on how people are engaging with the entire platform, but it also specifically how they're engaging with your program listing. Yeah. All right, so that's my email address. And again, gsu.edu, we're at Georgia State University. But again, thank you so much for having me be able to share this resource with you all. And I hope that you all, I'll see you at some future trainings. And again, please email me if you have any questions. But this resource, I've got a lot of workshops coming up because we think about the holiday breaks. There are a lot of schools that provide the food and the clothing. So there are people that are in need of resources even more so during these times of Thanksgiving and the Christmas breaks, the holiday breaks. So this is a resource that I know a lot of schools in particular are using and incorporating to share with their families because there is a gap sometimes in the resources that are available during this time of the year. Make sure we're empowering our families and individuals with what they need. All right, thank you, Matthew. I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Kimberly. I just want to share a few closing out items here. We want to talk about sort of next steps. And I know that Kimberly has highlighted several. I do want to reiterate some of the resources that are out there for everyone around some of these topics, based around child and family well-being here in Georgia. We'll make sure that materials get out from today's session, as well. All these links that have been put in the chat and important information on training and other help that's available for Find Help Georgia will be available in that follow-up email. We'll hope to get that out in just a couple of weeks here, hopefully before everybody breaks up for the holiday. And then again, feel free to reach out to us at essentials@gsu.edu with questions or comments around Basecamp, linking to collaborative prevention efforts that are happening in your area, in your part of the state. And then just general questions. I heard a lot about Georgia Essentials. I only vaguely understand what's going on. Could you tell me more? Is it relevant to my organization? How does it affect people in my community? We'd be happy to follow up with you and share some information. If you're interested in just staying connected and learning more about opportunities like today's session through these communities of practice and other ways to plug into the greater network around child and family well-being in the state, there is a new quarterly email newsletter that just launched last month in October. You can subscribe with the link that I put in the chat, or you can feel free to use the QR code that you can scan off of your screen with your smartphone. Again, it's a quarterly newsletter. So the next issue will be in January, followed by April. And the plan is not to inundate you with lots and lots of emails. It's just to share important, relevant information every 3 months or so. Finally, the next round of sessions will be launched in spring. And so we'll make sure to get the word out on those. To be the first ones to hear about it, please do subscribe to the newsletter. But we'll also make sure to share further information with everyone when those details are available. On behalf of the organizers of Georgia Essentials for Childhood, as well as our great speakers here today, including Kimberly, just thank you so much again for joining us. And again, please reach out to us if you've got any questions.